In a small town in Spain, Vicente enters a grocery store, stuffing bottles inside his jacket while his son Ian waits outside. Using his special power, Ian casts an illusion, keeping the clerk unaware of the theft. Vicente makes a small purchase to avoid suspicion and steps outside. But Ian keeps the illusion up as his father searches for their truck. However, a group of girls passes by, sneering at Ian and calling him a freak. The insult breaks his concentration, shattering the illusion. Inside, the clerk notices the missing bottles and grabs a hammer, storming out after Vicente. Panicking, Ian quickly casts another illusion, making it appear as if he's holding a gun. But instead of scaring her away, the clerk keeps coming. His fear takes over, and before he realizes it, he accidentally fires. The woman collapses, and in that instant, flashes of her memories flood Ian's mind. Sirens wail in the distance. Vicente yanks Ian into the truck, speeding away as the police arrive. But when the officer checks on the woman, the wound is gone, as if nothing ever happened. As Vicente races down the road, police cars close in behind them. Ian flips the rearview mirror to reflect his power back at the officers, making them believe they're driving down a completely different road. Vicente scolds him, warning that using his abilities like this is reckless. The illusion holds for a while, but as soon as they drive too far, it breaks. The cops realize they've been tricked, and the chase resumes. Frustrated, Ian argues with his father, questioning why they have to live in hiding when they could use his powers to get rich. Vicente refuses, warning him that it would attract the wrong kind of attention. When Ian presses him, asking who they are, Vicente remains silent. By the time they reach the beach, Ian unleashes a massive illusion. The police officer suddenly sees himself caught in a violent hailstorm. Ice batters his car, and a powerful gust flips it over, dragging it toward a gas station. Just as panic sets in, the illusion fades. Everything is normal, but it's too late. The entire incident is captured on security cameras. And soon, the footage reaches the mysterious doctor, Adriana. The next morning, Ian and Vicente wake up in an abandoned ship, their hidden home. Ian is haunted by a dream, his mother singing to him as a baby, her voice warm and soothing. But then, suddenly, she screams, jolting awake. Ian is left shaken. Vicente, trying to make the day special, prepares a birthday breakfast for Ian and shows him an old photo of his mother, taken the day Ian first discovered his powers. But when Ian asks to go to the arcade for a normal birthday, Vicente forbids it. Angry, Ian storms into his room, taking out his frustration on a training dummy. But after venting his rage, he makes up his mind. He sneaks out through the window. Meanwhile, in town, the cop tells a bartender about the strange hailstorm. A man known as the Perceiver overhears this and discreetly uses his power to knock the officer unconscious. Later that evening, a special team surrounds the abandoned ship while Vicente is distracted by the TV. Dr. Adriana steps forward, treating Vicente like an old friend as she announces that she's with the agency. She demands to know about Ian. When Vicente refuses, they beat him, trying to force him to talk. Before he can say anything, a message comes in from another group of agents. They found Ian's location. At that moment, Ian is at the arcade, unaware that both the Perceiver and two agents are closing in on him. The Perceiver moves swiftly, shoving one of the agents behind a curtain and taking him down with ease. Using the agent's radio, he mimics a fake voice, reporting that there's a Perceiver in the area. The trick works. Adriana immediately alerts all her agents, shifting their focus to the new target. With the agents distracted, the Perceiver resumes his search for Ian, who is hiding behind a table. One of the agency agents spots him and opens fire on the Perceiver, but the bullets hit nothing. The figure was only an illusion. The real Perceiver steps out from behind the agent, watching as his enemy chases the false image. Raising his hand, he attempts to trick Ian next, but before he can, another agency agent sneaks up and slams a helmet onto his head, blocking his abilities. The Perceiver reacts instantly, shoving the agent back and engaging him in a brutal fight in a dark room. With a final blow, he throws the man through a wall, only to find himself surrounded by an entire team. Despite the numbers, the Perceiver fights them off effortlessly, moving through the room as if the VR players around them don't even exist. One by one, the agents fall. Once they're all down, he rips the helmet off and resumes his search for Ian. Meanwhile, Ian is found by Esther and another agent who lead him outside. Waiting in a van, Adriana greets him, telling him he isn't alone. There are more people like him. Then she reveals a devastating sight. His father, Vicente, captured. With no other choice, Ian goes along with them. But the moment he steps inside the van, they tie him up and strap a helmet onto his head to block his powers. As he struggles, they take a blood sample. By the time the Perceiver reaches the street, the van is already gone. Thinking fast, he creates an illusion of a baby stroller rolling onto the road. A passing truck slams on the brakes, causing an accident. Inside the van, the driver hesitates, considering stopping. But Adriana sees through the trick. She orders him to keep going, revealing that even the truck was an illusion. Moments later, Ian wakes up in the agency facility. Adriana stands before him, explaining the truth about their war. The agency has been fighting against a secret group known as the Conscience, people with abilities just like his. According to her, the Conscience has been controlling governments for years, ensuring that no matter who wins an election, nothing truly changes. The agency's mission is to stop them and restore real democracy. But there's another reason she's interested in Ian. She warns him that the Perceiver will try to recruit him, and if he refuses, he'll be killed. She offers him another choice: join the agency instead. More importantly, she wants the secret hidden in Ian's blood. If they can extract the right formula, they could develop a way to block the enemy's powers. Adriana then tests Ian's abilities, questioning what he can project. When he admits he has never been able to create the illusion of a person, she refuses to believe it. She pushes him, setting up a difficult test. Ian struggles at first, but Adriana explains that his abilities are fueled by strong emotions. She shows him a picture of his mother and reminds him of his painful childhood. The memories hit hard, and suddenly, Ian's illusion takes shape. They are now standing on a vast beach, a gentle breeze in the air. Then, a small fly buzzes around Adriana, breaking the stillness. Satisfied, she pushes him further, asking him to return them to reality, while keeping the fly in a loop, a term used for permanent illusions. But Ian refuses, ending the illusion entirely. His patience is gone. He demands to see his father. Adriana takes Ian to see Vicente, who warns him not to trust the agency. They'll only use him for experiments. But Adriana presents Ian with a choice. If he doesn't believe her, he can look into Vicente's memories himself. This, she reveals, is Ian's second ability. Curious, Ian reaches out and enters Vicente's mind. He sees a younger version of him working for the agency. One day, during a moment of chaos when an alarm distracted everyone, Vicente seized the opportunity to steal baby Ian. Adriana tried to stop him, but Vicente fought off the guards and escaped. Back in the present, Ian pulls away, shaken. Vicente isn't his real father. Adriana confirms it, but offers a revelation. His mother might still be alive. Later, Adriana meets with an American superior, showing Ian's blood test results. The man demands to know how Ian got his powers. Adriana explains that, unlike other perceivers who were thought to be sterile, Ian inherited his abilities from his parents. He is the first person born as one. The American immediately orders her to extract the formula and dispose of Ian, but Adriana refuses. She believes Ian could awaken a third ability, making him their only defense against the mule. The American, however, dismisses the mule as nothing more than a myth. Elsewhere in the facility, a doctor examines Ian's test results and smirks at his findings. His neuron factor is 204%. Meanwhile, in his room, Ian is confronted by Esther. She tells him he's nothing but a lab rat and offers to help him escape. Ian agrees, and they make their way downstairs, only to be surrounded by guards. But Esther isn't an ordinary agent. With a baton, a taser, and incredible skill, she takes them all down in minutes. Once the guards are unconscious, she and Ian prepare to flee. However, Ian refuses to leave without Vicente. His memories hold the answers Ian needs. As they drag Vicente outside and search for a car, Adriana realizes the escape and sounds the alarm. Agents rush out, opening fire. But Ian speeds off while arguing with Vicente about his lies. Inside the facility, chaos erupts. The doctor from earlier suddenly pulls out a gun and shoots everyone in the room. He checks the security cameras before revealing his true identity. He is the Perceiver. Meanwhile, Ian manipulates the guards with his illusions, making them fire in the wrong direction. Reaching the mountain roads, Ian's reckless driving sends the car off the road, crashing into the trees. Moments later, the Perceiver arrives. Ian quickly casts an illusion, making the area appear empty, but the Perceiver simply smiles before walking away. The trio finds a rundown motel to hide in. The next morning, Ian and Esther spend time together on the rooftop before heading back to their room. Inside, they discover Vicente passed out drunk. Still desperate for answers, Ian decides to enter his father's memories again. This time, he sees Adriana holding a file belonging to a patient named Kaminsky, scheduled for transfer to Poland. She then checks on a van outside, instructing the driver to inject the formula that night. Ian's gaze shifts. Behind the driver, he spots a masked person, missing 3 fingers. The sight shocks him so much that he loses the connection. Later, Ian goes to a bank. Using his power, he hands the clerk a blank piece of paper, making her believe it's a check. She hands over the money without hesitation. As Ian exits, the illusion wears off. Realizing she was tricked, the clerk calls for security. Luckily, Ian finds Esther, and they escape before getting caught. Back at the motel, Esther playfully tosses the stolen cash in the air before heading to the shower. But Ian is uneasy. Vicente is missing. Then, outside, a car pulls up. Telling Esther to stay hidden, Ian quickly prepares an illusion. When the perceiver steps inside, he sees an abandoned room. But Ian makes a fatal mistake. The mirror remains uncovered, and illusions don't affect reflections. Seeing through the trick, the perceiver tears it apart. The fight begins. Ian conjures shifting illusions, trying to disorient him, but the perceiver counters every move. Ian grabs Esther's taser, then a chair. Nothing works. The perceiver is relentless. Pinning Ian against the wall, he glances at the bathroom, then dives into Ian's mind. He sees the truth. Ian went to the bank for money because he plans to travel to Poland. He wants to find the scientists behind the experiment. Ian loses consciousness as the perceiver drops him. Without another word, the man walks away. Moments later, Ian is dreaming of his mother again, but the memory fades as Vicente shakes him awake. The mood is tense. Vicente scolds Ian, furious that the bank robbery has become a major news story. But Ian shifts the blame back onto him, calling him by his name instead of Dad. The tension erupts into an argument. Vicente gives Ian a choice. Either keep going down this reckless path that will only lead to pain or leave everything behind and stay with him. Ian doesn't hesitate. He chooses to go to Poland alone. Meanwhile, Adriana and the American track the stolen cash following the serial numbers. Their search leads them to Ian's latest purchase: train tickets to Poland. Sometime later, Ian and Esther arrive in Poland, immediately setting out to find the lab. Unbeknownst to them, agents are waiting nearby. But before they can act, the perceiver appears and takes them all down with a few quick shots. The duo soon finds the lab, an old abandoned building. Ian recognizes the room from his dreams, but something feels off. He insists it should be bigger. Suspicious, he starts tapping the walls until he hears a hollow sound. Wasting no time, he breaks through the wall, uncovering a hidden room filled with cabinets and documents. One notebook stands out: Project Awareness. Inside, Ian finds a photograph of his mother. As he stares at it, memories of her flood his mind. Esther flips the picture over and reads the note on the back. The revelation is shocking. Ian's grandfather was the scientist behind the experiments. He used his own daughter as a test subject. Meanwhile, back at the ship, Vicente drowns his frustration in alcohol. His solitude is interrupted when Adriana arrives. She looks at him with disdain, telling him to stop drinking and start being a real father. Back at the lab, Ian is caught off guard. Esther has brought the perceiver inside. She insists she's helping him get the answers he's been searching for, but Ian doesn't trust him. Without hesitation, he pulls out a gun. The perceiver smirks. He knows it's just an illusion. He walks right through it. Looking around, he begins spotting multiple versions of Ian. More appear, surrounding him from every angle. He remains calm. They're all fake. His gaze shifts to Esther, who silently points toward the real Ian. The perceiver turns, corners Ian, and raises his own gun. Then he drops the biggest revelation yet. He is Ian's real father. During the Cold War, a scientist developed a powerful formula, injecting it into a group of volunteers, including his daughter and the perceiver. This experiment granted them special abilities, turning them into elite spies capable of mental manipulation. But after the war ended, the government no longer had use for them. Fearing these spies could defect, they started eliminating them one by one. That's when the Mule appeared. The Mule was the most powerful of all perceivers. When they tried to kill him, he revealed a third ability: mind control. This ability allowed him to make enemies turn on each other or even end their own. After escaping, the mule gathered the remaining survivors, forming an underground organization known as the Conscience. Through him, Perceivers learned to hide their abilities and live normal lives. The name Mule came from his biggest flaw. He was sterile. In fact, all Perceivers were supposed to be. Ian's mother and the Perceiver never thought they could have a child. They didn't take precautions, believing it was impossible. But then, the impossible happened. Ian was born. He is the first and only Perceiver to be born naturally. As agents flood into the building, the Perceiver hears them approaching. Without hesitation, he tells Esther to take Ian to his house in Madrid. As the duo heads for the stairs, the Perceiver stays behind to fight. His first move is swift and brutal. He shoots down several agents before they can react, but more keep coming. Shifting tactics, he casts illusions of spiders crawling over them, creating just enough distraction to take them out even faster. Despite his efforts, 2 agents manage to surprise him from behind. Before he can react, they clamp a helmet onto his head, blocking his abilities. Meanwhile, Ian and Esther encounter another squad of agents. But for Esther, it's hardly a challenge. Within seconds, she takes them all down, even using their own weapons against them. Reaching the rooftop, she showcases her agility, making a flawless jump to the other side. Ian hesitates for a moment, but more agents burst onto the roof, leaving him no time to think. He quickly slides down a tunnel and escapes with Esther. Later, the Perceiver is restrained at the agency's lab. A robotic arm extracts a blood sample before the scientists begin their real work, activating a machine designed to analyze his body. The process is excruciating. He writhes in pain as the machine pushes him to his limit. Watching from the control room, the American orders Adriana to stop, warning that this will kill him. But she ignores him, pushing the experiment forward. The Perceiver's body trembles violently, his groans turning into full screams of agony. The pain is overwhelming, and eventually, Adriana is forced to shut the experiment down. Minutes later, a scientist delivers bad news. The formula is too diluted in the Perceiver's bloodstream. It's useless. Realizing they have no other option, Adriana informs the American. Ian is their only hope. Back in his cell, the Perceiver regains some strength. He calmly asks for water. A robot rolls forward, offering him a glass. That's when he makes his move. Looking into the camera attached to the machine, he activates his third ability, mind control. Through the camera, he seizes control of the technician's mind. In an instant, the technician turns on his colleagues. With the push of a button, the robot's weaponry activates, gunning down every scientist and agent in the room. Then, with a vacant stare, the technician unlocks the Perceiver's restraints. In Madrid, Esther and Ian arrive at the Perceiver's home. The housekeeper greets them with a shocking revelation. Ian's mother is alive, but she isn't the woman he remembers. Due to the experiments, she is trapped in a catatonic state. Ian approaches her carefully. At that moment, the Perceiver arrives, revealing that she isn't entirely gone. A small fragment of her mind is still intact. Ian reaches out and enters her consciousness. Inside her memories, they reunite. In reality, her body trembles. Moments later, the Perceiver joins them inside her mind, showing Ian the pain she endured under the agency's control. But then comes a shocking revelation. Before she was captured, Ian's mother implanted a memory deep within his subconscious, a safeguard containing the formula. The key to unlocking it? His childhood toys. The Perceiver sees an opportunity. If he can extract the formula, he could change everything. He reaches for the memory, but an invisible barrier stops him. Ian realizes his mother never wanted anyone to have the formula. Ignoring this, the Perceiver pushes harder, trying to break through. The force disrupts her mind, causing a deep strain. A wave of pain surges through her, and suddenly they are all pulled back into reality. In her final moments, Ian does the only thing he can. He sings her childhood lullaby, just as she once did for him. Tears slip down his face as she fades away. The moment is shattered by chaos. Agents storm the house, breaking into the room. Overwhelmed with grief, something inside Ian snaps. For the first time, his third power awakens. With a single command, he takes control. The agents freeze. Then suddenly, they turn against each other, confusion filling their eyes. Within moments, they collapse, unable to resist Ian's power. But he isn't done. Stepping out into the hallway, he searches for more of them. His emotions boil over, fueling his abilities. He commands them to surrender, their strength failing under his control. Behind him, Esther watches, shaken by what she sees. The agents retreat outside, regrouping with Adriana, but Ian follows, his presence overwhelming. He forces them all to their knees, weapons in hand. Completely completely under his influence. Before he can give the final command, Vicente appears, yelling for Ian to stop. He warns him that the Perceiver is twisting his emotions, pushing him towards an irreversible path. The Perceiver steps forward, tossing a weapon at Ian's feet. If he wants revenge, he might as well turn against Vicente too. But Ian isn't interested in Vicente. His focus is on the agency. Vicente snaps, accusing the Perceiver of manipulating Ian, of pretending to be a father when he was never there. Without hesitation, the Perceiver raises his weapon and fires. The sound of the shot breaks Ian's control. The agents collapse, freed from his influence. As the Perceiver seizes the moment to pull Esther away, Ian rushes to Vicente's side. Weakly, Vicente reaches out, asking Ian to enter his mind one last time. He knows his time is short. Inside the memory, Ian finally sees the truth. It was his mother who begged Vicente to take him away, to protect him. Overcome with guilt, Ian apologizes. This time, he calls him Dad. They embrace, reliving a cherished moment, fishing together on a peaceful day. As the memory fades, Vicente's strength gives out. Ian, his heart heavy, picks up the fallen weapon and sets out to stop the Perceiver. He tracks him to a neighboring building, where a wild party is in full swing. Esther's voice echoes through the music. Ian pushes through the crowd until he finally spots them. The Perceiver, holding Esther at gunpoint. The fight begins, but not with fists. Both Ian and the Perceiver struggle for control over the weapon with their minds. It trembles between them, caught in the clash of their powers. But Ian's abilities are still unstable. He loses his grip. The Perceiver seizes control, switching tactics. The Perceiver turns the entire crowd against Ian. One by one, people move toward him, their eyes empty, their bodies controlled. Ian barely holds his ground, using a tray as a makeshift shield. But the pressure mounts. He's surrounded, outnumbered. Every second pushes him closer to the edge until something shifts inside him. The desperation unlocks his full potential. Now in complete control of the third power, Ian fights back, moving effortlessly through the crowd, knocking down enemies with whatever he can grab, bottles, chairs, anything. But the Perceiver doesn't stop. He keeps sending more people. Then comes the final attacker. Stronger, faster. A hand clamps around Ian's throat. He gasps, struggling. This one won't let go. Ian is seconds away from death when a gunshot rings out. Adriana arrives just in time, putting a bullet through his attacker's head. As Ian catches his breath, he pleads with the Perceiver not to hurt Esther. But Adriana gives him a chilling revelation. Esther isn't real. The Perceiver has trapped him in a loop. Ian's mind spins as he sifts through his own memories. Reality shatters. He was the one who did everything he saw Esther do. The loop was planted back at the arcade when the Perceiver first looked into his mind. Tears streamed down Ian's face, the weight of betrayal crushing him. But then Esther speaks. Her emotions, her feelings for him, they were real. Desperate and panicked, Ian pulls the trigger. The bullet cuts through the illusion and hits the Perceiver instead. As he collapses, the illusion breaks. Esther, real or not, runs to Ian, embracing him as he sobs into her shoulder. Sometime later, Ian ensures that both his mother and Vicente receive proper graves. Standing in the cemetery, he silently says his goodbyes. Adriana visits as well, making one final plea. She needs the formula, and he needs to choose a side. But Ian refuses. He won't be part of this war. He walks away with Esther, ready to start a new life. They get into the truck, and this time, Ian doesn't hesitate. He leans in and kisses her. Before driving off, Ian catches a final glimpse of Adriana. She stands with the American deep in conversation, but then Ian glances at the truck's mirror, and the American isn't there. Adriana has a loop in her head too.